Moses tells them, as they're dealing with this situation, he has to give an explanation. So Moses, got y'all. I know you got a situation. Let me give you an explanation now that you're in position as to what's going to happen. And he says, see the salvation of the Lord that he will show you today. For the Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. Goodbye. I know y'all gotta get used to me. I know I just got here. I've only been living here for about a month. As a matter of fact, my family and I got lost. We went to the old location, nothing but grass over there. And I said, wait, this is not the church unless they have a church outside. So we got lost. I know you're trying to get used to me. But please know that you're looking at somebody who God has shifted. He's watched things fall off of. And now I'm standing here to tell you, if he did it for me, I'm a living witness that he can do it for you. Because I remember those days, baby, when we didn't have lights on in the house. And we were trying to figure out how we're going to have a candlelight dinner with no lights on. And God says, listen, if you just hold on, there's something on the other side as you wait on me to come through for you. So let me say that to somebody. You feel like all hope is lost. No. God has something for you in your situation, and he'll give you an explanation so that you're going to walk and do what he's called you to do. That's nice, though. Good. Thank you, Moses. You're awesome. But something happens in the text. The way Moses communicates to the masses is not the same way he communicates to God. We don't get it because it's not inside the text. But Moses, after setting everybody up, Moses after championing what God can do, and he can make a way out of no way. He can cross you over. He's going to deliver you. He's going to see you through. Something happens between verses 14 and verse 15 that we just don't know. He has a conversation with God that's off record. But we know when we get back on record, verse 15, that the Lord is not happy with Moses. Something happened because in verse number 15, the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on. You mean to tell me, Moses, that in verse 13 and 14, you told them to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. That's what you said to them in verse 13 and verse 14. When you were out in public, you said, God, you can wipe all tears from my eyes. When you were out in public, you said, the Lord is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we may ask or think. But when you stood before God, you said, Lord, how are we going to get out of this? You see the difference? Because there's a face that we show in public. But the Lord knows our hearts in private. There is a difference between Christians in public and Christians in private. And something happens in between verses 14 and 15 that made me scratch my head. Because Moses said one thing. Y'all remember that song, Have a Little Talk with Jesus? Listen, I know that song. I never learned it. I know it by heart because I sat on the laps of first ladies or churches all my life, sat on the lap of ministers' wives all my life, and I kept hearing, have a little talk with Jesus. Tell him all about our trouble. He'll hear our faintest cry and answer by and by. Feel the prayer returning, know the fire's burning. Just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. And in verse 15, God says, stop talking to me. I don't have nothing to say to you right now, Moses. And I said, man, that's rude. Because you just told us to cast meditation. There's no more holding hands and praying. He said, here's what I need you to do. Everything you just told them to do, I'm going to flip it. You told them to stand still. I'm telling them to move. Now, watch this. And the next verse says, verse 16, it says, now, as for you. Y'all stay here with me because I'm talking to somebody here. Watch this. In other words, we are waiting on God to move. And God is waiting on us to move. And the miracle will not happen unless you get off. Now, don't get upset. That you get off of your knees, close this body, tuck it underneath the shoulder, and get to step. Because the miracle comes after you move. And the Lord is telling somebody here today, you sitting here waiting on me, I'm waiting on you. You sitting there calling on me, I'm calling on you. Because we don't see God like that. But if it's true, now don't get me wrong, I know God does miracles that we don't have to do anything and he blesses us. But the miracles that you really want, the miracles that really get you excited, are the ones where he partners with you in order to move. Don't believe me? Come here. Let's go to Lazarus' grave. You remember Lazarus' grave, don't you? In Lazarus' grave, something interesting happens. The Lord raises Lazarus from the grave, but then he looks at them and says, you roll the stone away. Stay with me for a second. Because on one hand, God says, I raised Lazarus. On the other hand, you roll the stone away, which means I want you a part of this miracle with me. And too often, we stop coming to Bible study, we stop coming to church services, we stop worshiping the name of the Lord because we want God to do all the heavy lifting, but God has a part that he wants us to carry as well. I knew I wouldn't get a lot of amens because there's some people that just want to sit in their lazy boy chair and let God do all the work. God is saying, no. Come on, if you really want it, you got to put some skin in the game. I'm almost done. Matter of fact, I am there. So inside this text, the Lord is pushing us to make sure we don't stay on the back burners. For this miracle can happen. Speed takes place. For this miracle can happen in your life. You have to move fast. Trust God and let him lead the way. Because then the transformation takes place. Then things are restored and made new because we connected with God in another way, and now we're moving where he wants us to be. But God takes the heavy part and gives us the light part.